And on the recording.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right, we're good.
All right.
Okay, this is a planning board public meeting, Tuesday, April 6, 2021. It's approximately 7:35 p.m. right now. For the duration of the coronavirus health emergency, Village Hall is closed to the public and meetings are held with participants at remote locations, connecting to conferencing software provided by Zoom.us. Members of the public are invited to view meetings live using the Zoom client, which also allows them to raise a hand and contribute with voice and video when they are invited to do so during the public portions of the meeting. In accordance with the provisions of Section 10:4-8D of the Open Public Meetings Act, the date, location, and time of the commencement of this meeting is reflected in a meeting notice, a copy of which schedule has been filed with the village manager and the village clerk, the Ridgewood News, and the Record newspapers, and posted on the bulletin board in the entry lobby of the village municipal offices at 131 North Maple Avenue and on the village website, all in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Okay, flag salute.
Uh-oh.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag
Of
of the United States
of
of
the United
America
States of America,
and to the republic for which
for which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
and
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Justice for all.
That was a nice surprise, Dylan. I like that. All right,
I've
roll
I do
call.
that every day in my preschool class now, on my virtual preschool class, and it's the most popular moment of our class every morning. Thank you, Dylan.
All right.
Mayor Newton,
Here.
Chief Gore,
Here.
Councilman Reynolds,
here,
Mr. Joel,
Here.
Ms. O'Brien,
Here.
Ms. Patiri, Ms. Hubian,
Here,
Ms. Bartow,
here,
Ms. Westner,
Here.
Ms. Johnson,
here,
Mr. Lubarsky. Okay.
All right. Our first item on the agenda, public comments on topics not pending before the board. If there's anyone in the public that wants to make a comment, just raise your hand. Dylan will let you in. You state your name and address, and then you can make your comment. And that's for topics not pending before the board this evening.
I am not showing any.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Are there any committee, commission, professional updates for non-agenda topics from anybody?
Just me.
Okay.
Let everyone know that we are advertising, have advertised for Historic Preservation Commission. And we have a number of applicants. So those are mayor appointments. Hopefully I'll have that wrapped up within the next few weeks and have a Historic Preservation Commission restored, which will be a good thing. And we'll no longer have to have applications here. And the other thing is I'm hoping to transition all village council and land use board meetings and all committee meetings back to Village Hall, hopefully mid-May, first week in June. So hopefully everybody stays healthy and we can get there and get back to where we belong and out of this little computer. So, update.
Yeah, a welcome break. Okay, any other updates from anybody? All right, do we have any correspondence, Jane? No? Okay. All right, our next item on the agenda is Historic Preservation Commission Review, 54 East Ridgewood Landmark LLC, Felina Cafe, 54 East Ridgewood Avenue Rooftop Bar. So this is a historic preservation. Is anyone appearing for them at all?
Yes, so we're gonna let in Benjamin Wine. And he'll let us know who else.
Okay, sure.
Benjamin Wine. They're coming in right now. Hold on.
Good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Mayor, members of the board. I suppose sitting as the Historic Preservation Commission. All that sounds like from the mayor, this might be the end of that. So we'd be honored to be your final application. In any case, as the chairman mentioned, this is an application by 54 East Ridgewood Landmark LLC for the property known as 54 East Ridgewood Avenue, Block 3809, Lot 7.01. Specifically, it is the Felina location on the side of the building. I understand one of my colleague, Jason Tuvel, appeared before this board last month, I believe it was March 16th, and appeared requesting site plan review and variance relief for the construction of a rooftop bar and rooftop food bar atop the Felina restaurant. And again, I understand that one of the conditions of approval was that we return to this board sitting as the Historic Preservation Commission to review the materials and colors specifically related to the appurtenances that have been added, that will be added to the roof. So with me tonight, I'm not sure how you'd like to do this, but I'd be happy, we can kind of talk that through. I have two witnesses with me. I have Jeff Fleischer, who is the project architect, and I have John Mazza, who is the general contractor for the property owner. And what I'd like, so I suppose, I guess, Mr. Hanson, it seems like you're letting people in, so I guess you can.
I don't see Fleischer.
Do we see him? I hope he's here.
No, I don't see Fleischer.
All right. In that case, I mean, we can do this. I'll shoot him a quick email just to make sure he's not having problems jumping on. But in any case, what we can do is the general contractor, Mr. Mazza, is certainly qualified and more than happy to speak about the specific improvements in color samples and materials. So in the interest of time, just because I don't want to take up more than our allotted agenda time, I guess, Mr. Chairman, this is for you, but would you be comfortable with Mr. Mazza proceeding unless and until Mr. Fleischer comes on? I understand he would be a fact witness rather than an expert witness, but again, certainly qualified as the contractor to be able to speak to these items.
Okay, yeah, the Historic Preservation Commission reviews a little less formal than the formal application thing. So you can just move along with his testimony and then we'll jump in with questions after he testifies.
Sure. Does that mean I can take my tie off as well? Or is that, I'll leave it on.
It's up to
Leave
you.
But
Comfortable.
John, are you on? I think, yeah, there you go.
I am. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Great.
I think
Thank you for having us tonight.
okay.
So John, what I think would be helpful, if you have Jeff's plans in front of you, are you able to pull those
I
up?
do.
If not, okay. Can you just pull those up? And it's the ones dated, the latest exhibit is dated 4/5/21.
Can everybody see my my screen or not?
No, you have to share. You should be able to share.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Should be down on the bottom bar. Should say share screen.
Yeah, share screen.
And then a window pops up and then you choose your window. And then click share. You should be good.
That's great, John. And Mr. Hanson, while we get started on that, if Mr. Fleischer does show up, if you don't mind just admitting him as well.
I'll bring him right in.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, John,
Great, let me
perfect.
Make this a little bit smaller. All right, we'll start from the beginning.
Sure, go
You
for
wanna
it.
See this? All right, so again, thank you so much for having us. We absolutely listened to everything that you said last time, and I think that we came up with a plan that was going to satisfy all the conditions that were brought up, which are very valid conditions. If you see on the top right-hand side of the screen, we created a removable panel, which was going to be in front of the windows of the adjacent building. Those panels are going to be made of AZAC, which is an exterior grade material, with a sound bat in between it, which is the highest rating that we could find for an exterior product. It has an STC rating of 50, and sandwiched between the two. And the only reason I sandwiched it was so that looking out of the window, it would be aesthetically pleasing. These panels come in white, and we can make them any color that we'd like. So what we were proposing was that we would dress our side to whatever finishes we're going to do with the bar, and we would dress the other side facing the adjacent building any which way that owner would like to see it. It would probably be a painted color, but between the baffle of the way we're going to construct it and between the sound bat that's going to be there, there's really not going to be any, it's going to help visually that nobody's going to be able to look into the window as well as out of the window. And also it's going to help with the sound. These panels are removable. And the way that we're going to construct them, if you see that there's we put on top of the parapet, there's posts, and every day when we open up, it's going to be part of our setup. I spoke to Chef Bucco, and we came up with a plan. It's going to be part of the setup, just like putting out the chairs every day. And these are going to be part of that. So every day they're going to come on, and at the end of the shift, when everything is done, they're going to come down. The height of it.
One quick second. I'm not sure if you're moving
Sure.
around your screen, but it seems, at least for me, it seems to be frozen in one spot. So if you
No, I haven't moved it. I was just showing that.
got you. Great.
I was
Sorry
just
about that.
showing that area.
I don't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to ask a quick question. I'm sorry
Please.
for interrupting. I just want to know, Jane, did planning board members get a copy of this document?
Yes.
It's in our packet.
Jane, just to clarify, I think I can answer the mayor's question. So this specific one dated 4/5 was the exhibit that we submitted to you yesterday digitally. The hard copies, I believe, that went in were the previous iteration. The only difference, Mayor, is there were a couple of updates in terms of the materials and colors. I think it makes sense to work off of this set, as this is, the latest iteration. But certainly, again, we're open to your comments and happy to discuss the previous iteration if you prefer.
This
No,
is Marian. Can you give us the title of this sheet?
Yeah,
Because I didn't see it either.
I don't see it, and that's why I'm asking. It's hard to.
So it's down there. It's I'm looking at it as well. It's called the Rooftop Bar Edition. It's a 3-sheet set by Mr. Fleischer, by Jeff Fleischer. The date on the bottom is listed as 3/22-21, March 22nd. And then we have the latest revision. If John, if you can shift over to the side, the right-hand side over there, all the way to the right. And zoom in right where it says the title block.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it says revised 4/5/21. That's the set we're working from.
Okay.
You may
And
not have gotten that one. I didn't realize it was a new, I didn't
So
realize there was a new revision.
is it possible to shoot that over to everyone by email right now?
I can.
Thank you, because I'm at a little bit of I need to see the current document in front of me. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Let's just take maybe a second.
No problem. Jane, are you taking care of that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt and stop everyone.
No, it's important that you have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. Fleischer just got on. I'm bringing him in.
All right, great.
Hi, sorry. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. John was doing a bang up job for you.
Oh, good.
We're just waiting a few moments for Jane to circulate the latest plans dated yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, to the board members.
Jane, just let me know when you send it, because
Yeah, I can't find it.
I can re-email it to you right now if you'd
Yeah,
like. Jane.
okay, because
Sure.
I don't see it.
The one we have is dated 3/24.
Right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that one
that's-
is revised to yesterday, and I don't see that I got an email yesterday with that.
I will send it right back to you right now.
Did everyone get a chance to see the sample board?
Yes.
All right, Jane, I forwarded it to you right now. It's in the same email as the sample board PDF. I just re-forwarded it. Did it come through?
Yeah, just now.
Oh.
All right, I sent it.
I hear it in
And
my
actually,
phone.
while we have Jeff, can you maybe jump ahead of John for one quick second to clear up any confusion and indicate what the changes were between your 324 hard copy submission and the updated exhibit that you issued yesterday?
I added the rendering of the front facade. We added the guardrail. And then on the side, on the food bar, I added the color on that rendering. And then on the first sheet, I added a little sketch of the proposed panel, the sound panel, vision panel to go in front of the windows.
Okay, I'm good. I got it. It's in on my big screen. Sorry.
All right, great.
Good.
All right, so John, I guess, do you want to keep walking through everything?
Yeah, I might as well. I might as well. Okay, so that's the way the screen's going to be constructed. And what we're going to do is, I was actually up there the other day just to make sure that everything was going to work out. And there's going to be a 6-foot panel, which is going to, there's a little light cove where there's two windows, and it's really only half the window. So we're going to be well above that, which I feel is important because you don't want people looking down anyway. So we're gonna cover that window, and then we're gonna come along the angle as well with a separate panel. And there's another window there, and that's going to be able to cover also where the deck and the staircase is. I know that there was some concerns about that as well. And in looking at it, we had decided as a team that we should cover that as well. If people want to stay out there and barbecue. So it'll probably be 3 panels on this side to cover the patio, the staircase, and as well as the window. And then it'll be 1 panel in front of the 2 windows that are there now. And that's what we figured would be the best. And again, we'll finish it any way that the next door neighbor wants us to on his side. And on our side, we'll just make it match whatever finishes we have on ours. And then moving down, Jeff showed us a color rendering of what it was going to look like. If you saw the panel board, we were going to use metal standing seam roof for the roof. And then the rest of it was going to be AZAC. Now, AZAC is a material that we use on a lot of historic buildings because we can hone it just like wood and then paint it. And the only good thing about it is that it lasts longer and it doesn't rot like normal wood does, but still has that same finish, still has that green feel on it. And that's what we figured that we would use on the outside to finish both the columns as well as the seating area.
And
And
John,
then
that's
we
the type of thing that, if in 10, 15, 20 years time, it needed to be repainted, that could just be repainted.
So as far as we're concerned, we repaint it every couple of years. It never goes that long just because that's the way we operate. as far as our business model is concerned.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely, it gets repainted. Definitely more than that, more than that time period. And then we also changed the appearance of the back, where the cooking area is. Originally it was siding, and we felt that it was very residential looking. So what we did was we came up with a really cool design that was going to mimic the design for the panels. And we decided that we were going to put that there to screen that cooking area, so that you couldn't see that. And we thought that that was a better design as far as appearance, and taking it away from that residential siding kind of look. And also we added a picture of what it looks like. So Jeff added the railing here. The railing was a previously approved item, and that's going to be wrought iron. So if you look at the picture, it's going to be the same material, the same wrought iron material that's used around the windows, is what the railing is going to be. And it's going to be in the pattern that was already approved, which is on the drawing as well. It's right here, top left-hand corner is the railing that was already shown previously. So it's going to be segments of this, and then we'll hopefully add some greenery or something in front of it to spruce it up just on the deck side. But this is what it looks like from underneath. So what we did with the colors, if you look at the palette that we had sent, we had tried to make that kind of disappear. I guess the mistake that we made was that, or actually that I made, was that we thought that at the last meeting, everyone was kind of trying to figure out a way to make it all disappear. And that's why we went with that color scheme. It's very close to the stone. And it's kind of like the same color, so it won't pop out at you. And that's where we came up with that color scheme.
And again, John,
And,
just to clarify, that
please.
color scheme on the AZAC panel system, again, that can be changed.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And I actually received a phone call from the owner of the building with some ideas, and I guess at this point we should take some questions. And
Yeah, sure. I just had one last
we're gonna
question
go
for
from
you,
there.
just if it's all right, John, just
Sure,
before we
please.
jump to that, because you mentioned the guardrail that was previously approved. That would serve as a physical barrier, really, so that, as a guardrail, so that anybody on the roof, it's a safety mechanism as well as an aesthetic feature, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely for safety. Right.
Okay.
There's certain criteria, has to be 42 inches off the top of the deck. So it's going to wind up being in the 34 to 36 range because of the parapet.
Right. And again, that was previously approved.
That's what I was told.
Okay, understood. All right. I know this is less formal, but I guess I have nothing further on direct for John at this time.
Okay, any board members have questions for John?
I do. I know, I'm sorry, did somebody else want to go first?
Go ahead.
So just precisely, what is the color that's on there? And then I guess my question is, your image, is this an actual image of, is this a photograph of the actual site, and then you just added the wrought iron into it?
Yes,
It is,
ma'am.
it is the actual, and this is actually this form of the structure on the roof.
Mhm. And I'm asking because I went there today and took like a ton of photos. And from where your angle where you're standing, it kind of doesn't look as big as it actually is, or as significant. And so from across the street, even with the railing, you'll see the uprights or verticals, if you will. And I just wondered, is you're going with this stone color to kind of make it disappear, and I guess I'm just throwing it out there, should the verticals match the brown and, that kind of bronzy color from the bottom and integrate that whole design so it looks like it was there. Because sometimes you just can't make things disappear, no matter how hard you try. So
Mayor, I absolutely agree. That material that we used on that is called a core 10 steel. So it's made to look like it's rusting, but it's really not rusting. And actually the rust becomes part of the finish. And we actually used it on the columns and above the glass. Our original idea was to actually carry that up. And again, I apologize because I thought that the board was actually looking for it not to be so stand out and to make it disappear. And that's why we went with the color palette that we did. But absolutely, I would be excited to match.
But do you
the finish.
agree if it disappears also if it just matches? Doesn't that achieve the same effect if it simply matches what's existing?
It does, and absolutely, the columns going through in the same color would be fantastic. It would disappear because it would just look like the columns were part of the structure above as well.
Right. Okay. And then
So
how
I
would
guess, please
Go ahead.
finish.
Yeah, no, so then I guess the question is, because from my perspective, and I'm just trying to pull it up again on my phone, my photos. So one of the things I see is the fascia board. So that wood. So then what color would that be?
Mayor, you're
So-
talking about I guess the soffit of the,
It would be
structure.
the soffit. I didn't know. It's hard to really see exactly.
Can you use the pointer and show us?
Sure. So you're talking about this piece up here, Mayor?
No, on the bar, if you go up,
Oh,
it's
here?
hard to see it on here because you don't have what it looks like right now. So
Right.
just beneath the roof line is that kind of, it's like that fascia board, if you will.
It
It's
is a
wood.
soffit.
Where the plywood is
soffit.
now, right?
I'm
Where
sorry?
the plywood is? Where the
Yeah, the
plywood is?
plywood, exactly.
Okay, so that plywood, so if we may, then I would change this up a little bit. What I would do is I would have the columns in the core 10 color, as well as where that plywood is. So it's actually the band that's
Oh.
holding up the roof.
Okay.
So that band all the way around, we would do with the core and steel. And then we would also bring that element down into the bar. So on the corners, so what we can do is we could dress up the bar, and instead of it just being monotone, we would put columns. The columns would continue through, and we could do the AZAC in the middle, and it would look really good. What I would also do, because the ceiling in this area here
Mhm.
is cedar.
Oh.
It's cedar tongue and groove planking.
Hmm.
I would also do the same above because it's the same look.
It makes sense
Again,
to
if
do
that's
that
okay.
plywood like that because then it just carries up what's on the bottom right up across the top. And it just looks
Right.
like it belongs there. It looks like it's part of the building.
So then I apologize that I'm going to get on my heels and change this. So so then I guess the right change would be to take the columns, wrap the columns in the cotton steel to match exactly the bottom. We would take that band of plywood that goes around the entire bar above the columns. We would wrap that in core 10 as well, to match what is above the windows on the first floor. Then we would take the cedar, which is in the ceiling of that vestibule area.
Right.
We would use that cedar on the ceiling as well.
Mhm.
And if it's okay, I would actually do the fascia of the bar of the roof line in the core 10 as well. So it's kind of like it would have the same look as the inside of it would as well, as the inside of the restaurant, because in the inside we mix the core 10 and the cedar, and it's a great look. And it would also carry into what we call the boardroom, which has
Right.
the same glass system
Mhm.
that the first floor has. So I would be ecstatic if we went that route.
So don't do anything because I'm only one person in this bunch. So I'm not being the I'm not the only spokesperson. I'm not the
No, I
final say,
understand.
but let everybody else kind of give their 2 cents.
I'll
It's up to
speak up.
discussion.
Yeah, no, I felt the same way. I mean, I literally called the mayor this afternoon. She's like, "Did you see the board?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "How'd you like it?" I was like, "It's very monochromatic. I like a pop of color." But she usually likes monochromatic. Like her house is all the same color. I'm like, you probably like it. I don't like it, but I like what you just spoke about, Mr. Mazza. I think that would look very sharp.
Thank you. And again, in our debrief, after the last meeting, we spoke and we had said, well, I think they wanted to disappear, and that's what we did. And looking back now, it's a mistake, and I agree with you. I mean, I hope everyone's happy with what the inside of a restaurant looks like. And we would definitely, if everyone's okay with it, like to carry that look through.
Okay, any other questions from anyone else on it?
I was just wondering what Diane O'Brien thinks. Where's Diane?
I'm here. I
You
completely
like
agree with,
my HPC and Melanie. So where are those two?
I completely agree with everything you've said, Susan.
Fine. Okay, good. Then
I
don't-
always support anything in the orange family at all. Copper. You know that. You get a yes.
Yeah, the inside of the inside of Felina is amazing, and I think
Oh,
bringing
yeah.
it outside would be great.
Thank you.
I have a question, and this just relates to the screening that is going to be on the sides that you talked about at the beginning. Now that you're looking at or considering some changes to the facade of the bar area, would it be prudent to carry through some of those changes onto the movable screening wall?
100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would actually change it, and we would do the frames instead of wood. I would do the frames out of steel so that it would match the Core 10 as well. We would have those stand up, and then the panels I would do. So cedar is really a great material. A, it's good outside, and B, it's more porous than normal wood. So that also adds an element of sound attenuation. So I would like to put in an element of cedar as well with some Core 10 framing. I can't make it too heavy because there's people that are going to be taking it on and off on a daily basis. But absolutely, I would be I'll be changing that to make it more look like what we're doing.
Okay.
The rest of the bar, absolutely.
How will the panels be attached? On a daily basis?
So it would be like a U-channel type of thing. So it would slide in to one side. One side of the track is deeper than the other. It would slide in just like a window would, kind of.
Okay.
And then once it clicks into place, there would be a stop. That safety stop would be engaged. And once that's engaged, then that panel can't move until it's taken out again.
Okay. So it's like you think it's a 2-person job?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
John could probably do it by himself, but
I don't count. I don't do hospitality.
I have a couple of questions. I wasn't here last time.
Please.
So if you could just clarify everything with me. So the rooftop venue is open, yes?
No, it is not open at this moment.
No, not open for business. I mean, open as in open air.
Yes, ma'am.
Open air venue. Okay, so has it been stated how far that sound will travel? Because is there going to be is there going to be music on? Is there going to be music out there, or is it just dining, or what is the situation? Because I don't live too far from town,
Right.
and I'm in an elevated living quarters, and sound does travel, especially at night. So my concern is for those people who do live close to town, how far does that how far will that sound travel?
So first off, we would abide by all of the village's noise ordinances, which Anthony Bucco had testified to last time. But also on top of that, our crowd isn't that young crowd, and we're not looking to have that young clubby crowd. Will there be music up there? Absolutely. But it's not going to be live band kind of music. It's going to be mood music. The lighting is going to be very dim, and the music is going to be pretty low. And because of also the amount of people that were allowed up there, it's not going to be like 300 people on top of the deck. You know, we're confined to a certain amount of people, which isn't going to be noisy. It's going to be more small, intimate settings where people can go and lounge out and have a conversation, more so than that loud craziness that we're really not looking to do there.
Okay, because that would be my concern, is how far does sound travel from that rooftop?
You know, I'm actually glad Darlene raised this issue, because she just reminded me of something else. The rooftop is metal, right? The entire roof is this sheet kind of metal. Is that what that is?
Yes, so that metal is it's a standing seam roof system.
So let me just ask a question, because we have these
Please.
sound panels and we have the windows nearby. But when we get a driving rain and the rain starts hitting that metal,
Get that drum sound.
what kind of racket? I mean, I'm just kind of
No.
thinking about the neighbors. What kind of racket? I mean, sometimes
So-
it's fun to hear on a little metal drip, 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 but when you're living next to it, it's probably not such fun.
Mayor, that was the music that John was referring to.
No. So here's the beauty of it. So we actually done this on a lot of our buildings. We're actually doing it in New Hope as we speak on a mansard roof. So the beauty of this is that the way it's installed. So yes, I agree with you. If there was nothing underneath it and it was just, you know, just the roof panels, every time it would rain, it would ding and it would be really loud. But the way that we install it is over the plywood. Over the plywood, we get a rubber roofing membrane, which is just about the same as the material that we're going to use for the screening. So it's a rubberized roofing material that goes down first, and then the metal goes over it. So when it does rain, it doesn't have that transfer of sound that it would normally have if there wasn't anything underneath it.
So I guess the metal and the rubber are just like almost like sandwiched together tightly.
Yeah,
you
so
get that
the way,
hollow.
yes, ma'am. So the roofing the roof material is actually screwed down to the roof.
Okay.
So it's not floating. It's solid. So when you hit it, it's going to be more of a thump like you would normally get on a regular roof, than that tinging that you would get if there was nothing underneath the metal.
Okay, good. Sorry, Darlene, I didn't mean to interrupt. You reminded me that I had that question.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering about sound, because we hear McDuffie's every time they strike up the band. Not that it's a problem, but I was just wondering, you know, when you're up that high, and you said there's not going to be any live band, but if there was, you know, drums do carry a beat a long way for miles.
Oh, yes, they do. No, we're not planning on having, of what I'm being told, we're not going to have any live music up there. The beauty of it also is that it's actually covered on most three sides is going to be obstructed. So you have the side that touches the existing building on the right, which is our building, and it's much taller than that.
Yeah.
So that's going to act as a baffle. And then on the other side, you have the adjacent property. That's going to act as a baffle. And believe it or not, the parking lot is going to act as a baffle itself in the back. So the music is going to be so subtle up there because it's just mood music that I don't feel that it's going to travel very far at all if heard anywhere residential.
That's my only question.
Okay, any other questions? I like the changes on it. It's kind of hiding it by just carrying it up. So I like the questions we had and the direction it's going. All right. And if you want to have another witness or.
Well, I mean, I have the project architect here, Jeff Fleischer. Jeff, I know that John did a comprehensive job.
Yeah, no, he did. He steamrolled over me, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I
He
mean,
did.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, you know, the architect is here if you had any specific questions that, you know, that John could not answer, but, you know, he's here and available, but I don't have anything else that I think he can add on direct.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for the architect at all? Or
Hey,
did-
Rich, it looks like the neighbor is actually had a question.
Okay, sure.
So
All right, I guess.
maybe Dylan can let the neighbor in. I don't know if they left.
Is that specifically for Jeff or just in general? Do we know?
I don't know. I just saw that somebody had raised their hand. They may be
He's
gone.
the neighbor. He's there. He's still there. Roman Haddon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would let him in.
What's the name? Roman?
Roman.
You should be coming in now. I'm gonna turn off the sharing so we can see him. There he is. He just needs to unmute and turn on his camera.
Okay. Roman, can you turn on your video?
Okay, I have.
Okay, just
Hello,
state your name and
everyone.
address.
Sure. Roman Hedaden. I live in 53 Overlook Drive, Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey. I own 22 Prospect Street. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of questions here. One about this panels that you guys talk about, John. That's going to be 6 feet, right?
Yes.
What color is going to be? Is it like today when you put the screen, the panels, the light is not going to come to the apartments? Will there be any problem there?
So this is the issue, Roman. So I don't know if you were listening from the beginning, but I had talked to Anthony Bucco, and we'll make it any color that you want it on your side. So this is the issue is that while that window is a light well, just like they have all over Manhattan, it's really tiny. What I'm going to do, Roman, is I'm going to take the screen and I'm going to push it to our side of the parapet, which is going to give you about another foot further away. So you're still going to get that light penetration. But again, we're going to take it on and take it off every day so that, you know, there's not going to be any issues. On the days that it's raining and it's closed, we're not going to put it up. But if there's any customers on the roof, that panel is going to be up for you.
Okay, second question, John. There's going to be about 40, 50 people on the deck. There's going to be a lot of noise. Are you guys going to replace my windows with a soundproof windows?
So I spoke to Anthony about that. I have absolutely no reason that I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
If you want me to replace the windows, we'll come in and we'll do a double pane window for you.
Okay.
I was looking at those windows before, and they're single pane. They're a little bit older than
Yep.
you know, the new version of windows. But absolutely, I'll put in double pane replacement windows for you.
Perfect. Look,
Because we're looking to be a good neighbor. We're not looking to you know, to create any havoc
same here,
with
John.
the
I
tenants.
know Anthony, you know, he's a good friend of mine and I want to work with you guys. I just want to protect my neighbor, my tenants. I don't want to get a call saying, look, Roman, there's a lot of noise, you know, I'm going to move out, you know, all stuff like which I don't want to deal with it. And that's why we want to talk about in advance.
Yeah, no problem. We can memorialize it here, which is great. But absolutely, we'll change those windows on that floor.
Perfect. Now, what will be the time of operations? Like, is that going to be till 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock? Do we know? I haven't heard that.
So here's my issue, Roman. I have I build stuff. So
Okay.
while I could talk to everyone, well, I actually from the last meeting, we're going to abide by all the town ordinances. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, people had to be shut down at 11:30 and off the roof by 12. If somebody could help me out with that, I would appreciate it. But I believe that that's what the ordinance is. And we're going to abide by all of those.
So I think, Mr. Chairman, we should just explain that this is an HPC review and not a site plan. This is not that application process right now. So all that information is memorialized, or anything relevant is memorialized in the resolution, even though that's carried.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we have to just clarify what this.
Yep.
is.
Roman, this is an HPC review. It's more towards the architectural elements. We kind of covered a lot of that last time. And I just let you in just as a courtesy, just to ask questions for it. So I think you're covered on that, but we did discuss it last time. And then there's going to be a resolution coming up for this.
Okay.
And it will be included in the resolution.
Okay, so one last question. So you guys build a rooftop. Will there be any review again if there's any issues in the future?
I'm sorry, say again, Roman, I couldn't hear you.
Like, will there be review about this, what's going on here? Let's say you guys opened up 6 months later, there's a lot of issues with the noise, with the lighting, all the stuff. Will there be a review?
So Mr. Haddad, it's Benjamin Wine, the attorney for the applicant. I think I can answer that question. So typically that's a matter for both the zoning and building department as a matter of enforcement. And certainly if we were either not abiding by the resolution, which I understand will be adopted at the next meeting based on the testimony last time, or B, if we were not abiding by the township ordinances, certainly whether it's sound, lighting, whatever those may be, that's a matter for enforcement. And you as a neighbor, as a property owner, or your tenants as renters, have every right to maintain their property rights and enforce the building laws in the township.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, John, no more questions. So you guys let me know when we can meet so we can look at the panel, the color, as well as the window replacement.
Got it. Thank you, Roman.
Okay, thank you,
very much.
Roman.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. All right. Any further questions by anybody for John or the architect? No? Okay, discussion? Any discussion on it? Any more? All right, so, I guess it's a favorable review with the changes that we discussed for it. And, well, you can just proceed from there. So I guess, Jane, can you do a letter that we send on the review? Okay, all right.
So, Mr. Chairman, I guess just administratively or procedurally. So at this point, it's not, there's no motion to be made. It's simply, this was a favorable review and we can proceed.
Exactly. That's the historical part. Yeah. It was
Understood.
a favorable review.
I would like to ask a question. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up sooner, but given that there's a lot of the discussion talked about making some significant facade changes and changes to the design of the screening that aren't in the current architectural plans, will you be doing that? Do you need to do that for the construction? I mean, is that a step that that the board wants to see, or do you think that it's enough that was talked about? It's up to the board, and I just wanted to just put it out there. So in the future, there's no discussion that someone says, well, these were the plans. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding.
So Ms. Bucci-Carter, I'll defer to the board certainly, but I think that the simplest way to do that, from my perspective at least, is if Ms. Wonder Gem's going to put out a memo to indicate those in the memo, and obviously any further iterations or revisions that have to go before would be subject to that memo, would be my guess.
Then what I would suggest, because that's a lot of architectural terminology to put in a memo that wasn't submitted by you guys, I would suggest that you submit a follow-up document that identifies all of those changes and the materials and describes them.
Sure, not a problem. We can do that.
Okay, yeah, that probably would be easier.
So just as a request, so once that document is submitted, can we just circulate it to the board so that we all have an opportunity to confirm that that's our understanding? And then we could do the letter. Is that
Okay, all right, so Ben, you'll send the memo in, we'll circulate it, and then we'll send something back on it. for it.
Okay, and that could be done administratively rather than returning before.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. Yep. John, you have no issue with that. Jeff, you have no issue with that, right?
Not at all.
Perfect.
I would like it memorialized anyway, just for my own teams. So that they can build easier.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Ben, John, Jeff.
Sure, thank you. Have a great evening, everybody.
Okay, you too.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the next agenda item was 54 East Ridgewood Landmark LLC, 54 East Ridgewood Avenue, Block 3809, Lot 7.01, adoption of resolution for approval of minor site plan and variance relief. That's being carried. Is that for the next meeting, Jane?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
it's carried
can I, before you carry that on page, I think it's 5 or 6, I'm not sure. I think the only witness was Mr. Fleischer, but for some reason it says Fleischer and Fleischman over, like it's just interchanged. I don't think we had 2 different people with those names, but if you go on page, maybe we could just have that corrected before we
All right.
meet.
Yeah, if you have any,
I think, Steve, I think it's page 5 and 6. It happens maybe about 6 times, okay?
okay.
Okay, great.
Jane, did you want to just take note of those, just so that they know? All right, well, that was page 5. And then on page 8, there was lightning was misspelled at number 5. But, so this is being carried to the next meeting, April 20th, 2021, without prejudice to the board and without prejudice to the applicant.
Mhm.
All right, our next agenda item will be 555 Maple Acquisition, 555 and 565 North Maple Avenue, Block 2904, lots 20-26. Application for preliminary and final major site plan approval, exception from design standards, and variance relief as needed to permit the use of a portion of the property as a surface parking area with an accessory pedestrian shelter. This was carried from March 2, 2021, without further notice, and without prejudice to the board. So I
Okay,
guess,
yeah, let John drill in.
Jonathan Drill.
Jonathan Drill and Lepatka. I'm not sure who else, Mr. Drill will let us know.
yeah, well, we can see what John says on it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm a little bit yellow. There we go. Can you also let Al Lepatka, and Al, can you unmute yourself and put your video on? While he's doing that, there we go. I represent the applicant 555 Maple Acquisition, Inc. The application is requesting an approval of to use a portion of the property, specifically lots 22 to 26, for a surface parking area, which is a permitted use in the B2 zone. The parking area is going to be repaved and restriped. Probably most board members are aware this was the former site of a Ford automobile dealership. The parking area is going to serve as a commuter parking lot for employees of the Valley Hospital, at least during the time period while the new hospital is being constructed in Paramus. During that time period, a shuttle is going to transport employees, so it's going to be employee parking only, and the shuttle is going to transport employees from the parking area to and from the new hospital location in Paramus. As part of the application, there's new lighting proposed, updated landscaping to enhance the aesthetics of the portion of the site being utilized, and there's also an accessory pedestrian shelter. And when Mr. Lepatka testifies, he'll go through, he'll cover all the questions that were raised in the 2 memos, and we have 2 exhibits. We have a landscaping tree exhibit, and we have a bus shelter exhibit So the board members can see at least what Valley is proposing, and we'll see if you like it or you see if you want it changed in any way. And I'm not going to repeat the relief that's being requested because Mr. Joel did that when he introduced the application. So I think just to save time, we should get right into it, and we should get Mr. Lepatka sworn. I'm going to ask that eventually he be qualified as both a engineering expert and a planning expert.
Okay, Steve, you can handle the,
Yeah, I have no objection to that. If you want me to voir dire him, I will, but he's certainly qualified and I know of him, so.
yeah, he's
The board
been
should
before
accept
us before, so I don't
Okay.
have a problem with
And
that.
Mr. Lepatka, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give in this matter, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and you have testified before this board before, both as a planning expert and an engineering expert, correct?
Yes.
So can you just, in your own words, and I'm going to try not to interrupt you as much as possible, and explain what the application's about?
Okay, the property is known as Block 2904, lots 20 through 26. It's on the northbound side of North Maple Avenue. It's about 1.96 acres in area in the B2 zone. Lots 20 and 21 are at the southerly end of the property, and there's an existing building and a parking lot there. Those lots really have nothing to do with our proposed construction. The reason that they are part of this application is because that the tax assessor has consolidated the tax bills for 55 North Maple and 555 North Maple and 565 North Maple into one tax bill, and we want to be technically correct. But we're not proposing to do anything to those two lots. Lots 22 through 26, those are the northerly lots in that bunch, are where we're proposing to do the work. Now, I'll mention something about the building on lots 20 and 21. During a recent snowstorm earlier this year, there was a partial roof collapse that occurred during the heavy snowfall. It's our current intention to repair the building. One of the reasons that we intend to repair the building is because somewhat recently, a year and a half ago or so, FEMA and DEP adopted a flood study, and it put this area of North Maple Avenue severely in the floodplain. The flood elevations, believe it or not, are about 5 feet deep, according to DEP, along this stretch of North Maple, although that's not historically what has happened. Valley has undertaken the task of appealing and or contesting FEMA's most recent flood study. And we think we'll be successful, but just in case we're not, we want to be able to preserve our rights with that existing building. Should you want to redevelop the site, put a new building there, it'd be extremely difficult to get approval from DEP. Certainly more so for any type of residential structure as compared to a commercial structure. Right now, the structure's being investigated, and we should have a course of action on how to repair that soon. And it has nothing to do with this project, but if you drove past it, you probably have seen that. Okay, now to get to lots 20 through to 26, if you look at the site today, it's currently an old parking lot, and there's also at the southerly end of those lots is a concrete slab, and that is the floor of the building that was demolished and removed last year. What we propose to do on these lots is to create a commuter parking lot for Valley's purposes. We propose to reconstruct the existing parking lot and actually extend it southerly from where it is right now over the concrete slab, which was the floor of the former building.
Al, not to complicate things, but you want to share your file with the preliminary and final site plan and put it up on the screen so the board can see what you're talking about as you're talking? Unless all the board members have it in front of them and you don't want Al to do that.
Sometimes it's good if he can, yeah, show.
It's not showing on my screen.
Yeah, we can see it, Al. Just, you got to scroll it up a little. And you have it, right now it's,
Can you see that now?
well, now we see all the files that you have there. You got to just open it up again. Open up sheet 1 of 4. Double click on sheet 1 of 4.
Which I did. It's on my screen.
There's probably a little delay. It was on our screen, but again, right now we're just seeing your files on this application. Tell you what, let's go to Plan B. Let's ask the board secretary, Jane, any way you can do this?
It's on my screen.
I know, but it's not on ours,
Yeah,
Al.
I hear you.
Sometimes, Marianne, can you pull it up or? Oop, you're muted.
I don't have all those files open
Can
now, but I
Dylan,
probably
can Dylan
get
help
them.
maybe?
Let
Can
me see if
Dylan
I can
show
get.
him how to get the share the screen?
I'm trying to see if I can just pull them up from the website.
What I was hoping to do before I messed Al up was just get sheet 1 of 4 of the site plan up there.
Do you see it now?
Ah, there we go, Al, you got it. Okay.
It's just a very big delay.
Okay.
So you can see my cursor, correct?
Yes.
Along the top of the property is North Maple Avenue. North is to the right on the page. Lots 20 and 21 are over here, and that's the existing building that we propose to remain the same. The existing parking lot for the old Ford dealership is here. And in this area is the concrete slab for the building that used to be there. So we intend to reconstruct the existing parking lot and extend it southerly to encompass most of the concrete slab. We're going to have new pavement in the parking lot, and the concrete slab will also be paved over, and the pavement courses will be feathered so that the rainwater drains properly. This area has proposed 140 parking spaces. That includes 5 handicap parking spaces at the southerly end. The parking spaces are 8.5 by 20 with a 24-foot aisle. And that is the minimum requirement for spaces that are going to be used by employees. The handicap parking spaces meet all the ADA requirements. We are proposing to utilize an existing driveway from North Maple into the site along our frontage of lots 22 through 26. There are some other drop curbs. That's a flush curb with North Maple, and we propose to close them off and install county spec concrete curb in those areas, so that you'll have a continuous full curb along the frontage here, with the exception of our driveway. We are proposing a bus shelter at the southerly side of the property, and what that is for is that would give shelter to people who come to park here and are out of their cars and waiting for a shuttle bus to come here. What I want to do is I want to try to get up the exhibit I prepared for the bus shelter.
I didn't want to ask you to do that, Al, but I really do want you to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was scared there.
Yeah, I was too. That made 2 of us.
Does it show it on the?
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
Okay, great. So this is the bus shelter that is accurately represents what we want to install here. You can see there's all glass panels with a metal structure.
Yeah, Al, just for the board members, where is this bus shelter that you took the pictures of? Where's it located?
Yeah, I took pictures of this bus shelter. It's located in Paramus on a shuttle parking lot that Valley currently has at that location. It's on Winters Avenue in Paramus, across the street from the new hospital project there. And this bus shelter and that parking lot was built several years ago.
Yeah, and just for the board, if you want this marked as an exhibit, we can do that, but it was submitted. It's in the board's file. So if the board is fine with not marking it, I'm fine with not marking it, and just keep on going.
Steve, do you have a preference of marking or not? I don't know if he's muted or not.
Yeah, I just unmuted. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I prefer to have things marked,
Okay.
but if it's in the file already, we could do it. You could do it, mark it later and get it to us. That's fine.
Okay, it's in the file already. Let's just have Jane, can you confirm you have this? It's been emailed to you, correct? And it went out to all board members. They should have it.
Everyone should have it, yes.
Okay, so Al, why don't you keep on going then?
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to switch to sheet 4 of the site plan that contains the landscaping. Okay, I assume everyone can see it.
We can.
At this time, there are 4 planters in between the existing parking lot and North Maple Avenue. We intend to refresh those planters, and there's 4 street trees there. There is a granite block curb around these planters, and I think it'll actually look pretty nice if, as long as it's upkept. Now, for the rest of the parking lot, there is no existing curb. We're proposing to put a concrete curb around the perimeter of the existing parking lot. I know there was a question in the engineer's report as to whether that was going to be granite block also, but it's going to be concrete. Now, there's one exception to that. As we travel to the south across the driveway, we're proposing another planter to complement the 4 existing planters. And that planter will have the granite block curb around it so that it matches the other planters. This planter will have more landscaping in it, let's say. We are proposing one decorative tree here. I believe it's a flowering cherry tree, and the rest of this is going to be landscaped. The overall impervious coverage on the site is.
I tell you what, Al, before you move on to impervious, back to landscaping, you said.
I was gonna get into, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to just touch on how is the landscaping in the front, the planters, how are they going to be? You said, provided there's good upkeep, how are they going to be upkept?
Well, there's going to be a landscaper that's contracted to take care of it.
Okay, and what about the landscaping in the rear of the parking lot? How is that going to be kept up and watered?
Right. We're picking up about 3,100 square feet of greenery. That's 3,100 square feet less impervious. And in the rear of the property right now, there's a landscape strip. The pavement is approximately 6 to 7 feet off the rear property line. That's the easterly property line. We're proposing to move that to 10 feet from the property line. So we're going to widen up that area a little bit so that we conform with the width requirement of the planted buffer there. Now, there along the property line, there is a more or less a row of existing trees. I just put,
That's your existing tree exhibit, which was also submitted to the board, and the board members also have that in their packages.
Yeah.
Right, Al? That's what, there you go.
yes, yes. I guess my particular PDF is a little angled, but so along there was a question in the reports as to what we're going to do to those trees. So we located those trees. They're shown in red over here. They're pretty close to the property line. And some of them are on the adjacent property. We showed them anyway, although we have no control over those. And we proposed that all of those trees remain. There is at least one small dead tree back in this area. I forgot exactly where it was. That'll probably be removed. You know, as long as your engineer says it's okay, but it's very dead. So anyway, so all those trees are going to remain. Now there is an existing fence that runs along the rear property line. And in this area, it's a little bit off the property line, and that's because it goes around a lot of these trees. Okay, the trees would prevent the fence from being right on the property line. We propose to replace that existing fence with a 6 foot wide solid vinyl fence. And I said before, we're moving the curb a little bit further away from the property line than the existing pavement is right now. And I'm going to get back to the landscaping plan. So in between the fence and the proposed curb, we have proposed numerous plantings. It is a row, but we tried to make it a little more informal and natural by mixing up the types of plants and the sizes. Among the types of plants, we have, I'll call them upright junipers, cypress trees, cedar, viburnum, and arborvitae. There could be something else in there too. In one of our original submissions, I believe we had just a row of arborvitae, and there was a comment, I believe in the planning report, that wanted something, more interesting. Framing the bus shelter over here, we're proposing 2 planting boxes. And the reason it's not plants in the ground is because we have the concrete slab there. So for the time being, the concrete slab is going to remain. And around the rest of the site in the northerly corners, we're proposing a little bit of landscaping, and then at the southwesterly corner, a nice landscaping bed over here.
Al, also, the engineer's report asked how those plantings.
All of the new landscaping will be serviced by irrigation.
Right, there we go. Thank you.
And in addition to these raised planters over here, there's a few raised planters opposite these handicap parking spaces where the concrete slab remains, and they'll be watered and taken care of by the landscaping contractor. Let's see. Regarding snow removal, that was a question, I believe, in the engineer's report. In the northwest corner of the site, that's the left front, the left front and the left rear corner, there's a triangular area that's striped off, and for small amounts of snow can be pushed there and piled there until it melts. What we intend to do for heavier snows, we would pile the snow in this row of 10 parking spaces. So while the snow is piled there, we would not have use of those 10 parking spaces. If there was a need for more snow storage, then Valley would contract to have that snow removed from this site to another site. But I
In
think
other words, with a front end loader and a dump truck and take it off site, right?
yes, yes. I think those 10 spaces will probably accommodate, at least 90% of the snowfalls that you have. There are some existing site lights on poles, and they're the old style floodlights, I'll call them, because there's a bulb with a reflector, and it's not a very controlled pattern at all. They're pointed, I forget, maybe at a 45-degree angle, so the light shines out pretty well. We're removing all of those existing light poles, and we're proposing 3 light poles, okay, in the middle of the parking lot. 1, 2, 3. Each would have 2 fixtures, and the fixtures would be a high-quality LED fixture. Each of the 6 fixtures there can be individually controlled as to intensity, time of day, and it could even dim during certain hours within small increments. So it's totally controllable. These lights, I think more importantly though, have a very controlled lighting pattern. You will not have hot spots right under the light and then have a lot darker as you go to the outside. They're much more uniform than the lights you might see when you're, say, flying into Newark Airport and you're looking down in the industrial section. So it's a much more uniform pattern. And what that also does is that gives a viewer the perception that the light level is actually not that great, because it's not spotty. When it's spotty, the people's eyes are always comparing the bright spots to the dim spots. And for security purposes, there's going to be a couple lights inside the bus shelter. Now, in addition to each of the lights being able to be programmed, we'll call it, that program can be overridden off-site on a computer or some mobile device, such as a cell phone, actually. So if there were ever a problem, someone can attend to it very quickly. Regarding the operations of this site, the buses, the shuttle buses, and the shuttle buses are small buses. They're not they're not a large bus. I'm not sure how long they might be, but on the order of, 24, maybe 30-foot tops, something like that. The buses will run approximately every 15 minutes from 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and
From 6:30 a.m. to when?
To 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
and from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, so those would be the busiest hours, and between those periods, the buses would run approximately hourly. You'll see it doesn't divide up evenly into hours, but it'll be run hourly. There are different shifts that this parking lot will serve. So all of the people are not coming at once, and that's why I'm saying that the shuttle buses run from 6:30 to 9:30 and 4 to 8 on a 15-minute basis. So you don't have a large concentration at any one time coming or leaving the property, and that would be Monday through Friday. The lighting in the parking lot would be turned off at approximately 8:30 p.m. And this would be parking for Valley only. We will work with your engineer and police department to come up with acceptable signs that will say that and put people on alert. The Valley employees will be issued tags that I imagine they would probably put them on their rear view mirrors, and the tags would demonstrate that they're allowed to park there. This site will not have an attendant, all day long, but Valley Security will periodically patrol the site, looking for any issues. If there are any issues observed, Valley would institute a policy of any, I'm going to say, off-hour issues observed. Valley would institute a policy of putting a chain and a lock across the driveway on off hours. And we would work with your police department and engineer to come up with some system that they're satisfied to. It might be some sort of Knox box there or something like that, where they can get into it if they wanted to. And in any event, whether or not we find that there's problems, Valley would like to give Title 39 authority to the Ridgewood Police Department if they would accept it, and that would give Ridgewood the right to come in there and take care of some problems if it exists. So we'd like to do that anyway. There are a few variances and waivers associated with this application. On lots 20 and 21, that's the lots to the south that we're not proposing to do anything to. There are 3 existing nonconformities per 190-111E and 190-121F2E. The required building setback line to the residential property adjacent to it is 12 feet and 0 exists. The required rear yard for the building, okay, over here along the easterly property line is 10 feet and 9.1 feet exist. And then the parking to the right of way is required to be set back 12.5 feet, and it's approximately 4 feet there. So we're proposed, those are existing nonconformities that we're proposing to leave the same. The site has operated like this for many, many years. We're not proposing any changes there. And in my opinion, it would be a hardship not to allow these existing nonconformities to continue. And again, the only reason that we are dealing with these 3 nonconformities is because we have a single tax bill for 555 North Maple and 565, the old car dealership. So there's one tax bill and we want to be technically correct. On lots 20 through 26.
Actually, what you mean is 22 through 26, right?
22 through 26. There is hold on a second. There are parking spaces along the northerly property line that are right up against the property line, so there's no offset. The code requires 5 feet. We're proposing to have that remain there. There's a barrier and a fence on part of that property line. The property next door over here is the, I'll call it the, I guess, the old corset shop. And that is also owned by Valley. So there's no one, other than Valley that would be affected by that. But that's
and Al, that's an existing condition, yes, right now,
that's
correct?
An condition that we're not proposing to change. And let's see. Regarding these existing nonconformities that we propose to change, I'd like to say that they are in connection with I'll call it a temporary use. We do not plan to use this as a commuter parking lot forever. It's really tied into the construction of the New Valley Hospital in Paramus. There are the approval of the site plan would provide hospital employee parking, and which is actually a use that's permitted in the Ridgewood ordinance. There is no significant traffic impact from this proposal. I said before that this parking lot will be used by different shifts, so there won't be one concentration of cars in and out of the site. And the cars that are here, once they're parked, will be parked there for a long duration. You're not going to have cars going in and out of the parking lot all day. There will be no trucks, no deliveries. So those types of vehicles, which sometimes are seen as problematic, will not be there. There's no dumpster. We have a couple small trash receptacles right next to the bus shelter. That's it. So you don't have the garbage truck going in and out. So no significant noise. And I think it'll certainly be a big improvement in aesthetics over what exists there today. And again, this property is framed on the south and the north side by other properties that are owned by Valley.
Okay, Al, there's one exception, and you haven't mentioned it yet, and that's the exception, the design waiver from Village Code Section 190-84 as to street trees.
Yes.
Ordinance says every 50 feet. The applicant's not proposing that. Can you explain to the board the reasoning and why the board should grant that exception?
I was just going to get into that. The ordinance says that there should be street trees every 50 feet. The existing frontage here has a different theme right now for planting. We have those, I'll call them shrub and flower beds. There is one shade tree in each of those. Those shade trees are larger than, say, new street trees that would be planted there. And the new street trees would probably not get to this size for several years. These trees are not overly large. I should have measured it, but I'm guessing they might be 6 inches, 8 inches in diameter right now. It looks like they were probably replanted there, I'm going to say several years ago. We're continuing the same theme to the south, and being that this is a temporary use, is only going to be around for a couple or a few years. I don't think that there would be any good effect that would be obtained by removing these and planting smaller shade trees every 50 feet.
Basically, what you're saying, it's impractical. You're better off leaving what's there because the use of the site's going to change in a couple of years once all the parking facilities are done in Paramus. And conceivably, you'd have to rip out the new shade trees, which are not going to grow as large as the existing shade trees are. That's what you're saying, Al?
Yes, the new shade trees wouldn't grow as large as these existing trees until some years after this parking lot is removed, and hopefully the site is redeveloped.
Right.
Now, and I don't really think there's much benefit, if any. It might even be a detriment in removing them. I think that this project, the overall project, is a big improvement in aesthetics and function. We have a better buffer to the residences in the rear, better lighting, which is softer to the eyes, and a lot more landscaping than exists right now. It provides a good function for the site, and something that we can do with the site while we're trying to resolve the FEMA and DEP issues. I feel fairly confident that we will, but it's not an absolute certainty. And by the way, Chris Rudishauser, your engineer, I believe, shares the same thoughts as I do, that this flood study is wrong. This use will promote the purposes of zoning under to encourage municipal action, to guide development in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, general welfare, and it by supporting the transportation of hospital employees, promotes a desirable visual environment, and the overall site will be approved.
I think, Al, yeah, I think you've hit everything. And the only question is, I think you hit everything in Chris's engineering memo dated April 1. And since the board planning expert is here, I think you hit everything in her memo, but maybe we can just ask her if she thinks that you missed anything.
We have two reports, one from your planner dated 11/10/2020, and one from your engineer dated April 1st, 2021. And I believe I've addressed all the issues. I might add that we actually have applied to DEP and received approval to build the parking lot. So we have that approval out of the way. We will need approvals from the Bergen County Planning Board and Soil Conservation District, which we will obtain.
Yeah. So at this point, I have nothing further to add. If any board members have questions, fire away. Or if your planner thinks that Al missed something in the memo, let's talk about it.
Okay,
I could add.
Board members. Well, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, I don't think that anything was missed. I did 2 reports, and many of the comments in the first report were addressed, and additional items that were asked for, such as the detailing of the bus shelter, additional landscaping, detailing on the fencing and lighting, all of that has been added to the plan for the board's review.
Okay. All right. Questions from board members? Anyone want to ask questions?
Okay, I will. So let me just start. I want to go back to so when I went over to the property and took a look at it, and I see the fencing that's along the eastern part of the property, so adjacent to those homes on, I guess that's Barnett. Is all that fencing that you're going to replace with the white fence, is that all Valley owned? Because I noticed that, and in my photos, some of it is, the bad side is facing out, some of it looks new, or some of it actually looks brand new. So I just wanted to know whose fencing is that, and is that going to be removed?
There are multiple fences there. The
Yeah.
fences that we're proposing to remove is all Valley's fence. It's on Valley's property. And it's actually over here, it might be a foot onto our property line. And when we go to this location, it's actually a couple or a few feet onto the property line.
I think, Mayor, I think you may have been observing fences owned by those property owners.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's what I'm asking, because
We're not going to touch, obviously, we're not touching their fences.
okay. It looks like some of it is 6 foot high and some of it looks like brand new stockade fence. So you would just put the white fencing in front of any of theirs, I take it?
That's
Yes.
correct. Yep.
And then on the 30-foot bus, what is the capacity, passenger capacity?
I don't know. I doubt they're gonna have 30-foot buses. They
Yeah.
could, but
Al mentioned that,
typically
but
you
I don't think
you
it's
might
going to
have
be 30
12
feet.
or 15 people in a bus.
Okay, oh, because it is or isn't 30 foot, because I wrote 30 foot on my notes.
Yeah,
but
I
somebody
said
misspoke.
it might be. Yeah, I'm sorry. I said it might be as big as 30 feet, but probably 24.
Okay.
Something on that order. There's only 140 parking spaces here. So if you had, say if you had pre-COVID 15 people per bus, maybe, maybe they'll have to have more routes right now.
Yeah, Al, I'm obviously not testifying, but I'll make a representation. I think that the shuttle vans or buses fit between 12 to 16 people, but that's just based on my knowledge that I've gotten from general counsel and senior vice president.
Yeah.
And with COVID, obviously, they're busing few people, but after COVID, I believe it's going to be somewhere, the maximum capacity, 12 to 16.
Those are the type of numbers that I've seen at their Paramus shuttle parking lot site.
Does that mean you'd need more buses, more trips than the every 15 minutes from 6:30 to 9:30 and 4 to 8? Will there need to be more bus trips happening within that time frame to accommodate COVID?
Yeah, we don't think so.
I don't think so. But however, we would have to, react to our experience here, how things work out.
Right,
There's
but
only
Al,
140 parking spaces.
Right, but Al, the information that you got of the every 15 minutes between the morning rush and the afternoon rush, you got those from Valley during the COVID period, correct?
Yes.
So that's why I don't think it's going to be, I think every 15 minutes is accurate during COVID. After COVID, it might be, in other words, not more buses, but less.
So my question wasn't relevant to, excuse me, the every 15 minutes, 20 minutes less, minus or less. My question is, based on the capacity of the bus, is the bus shelter big enough? Because the bus shelter doesn't look big enough.
I would think so. Right now in Paramus, it functions fine. That same size bus shelter, and that parking lot is, if I can recall properly, almost twice as many parking spaces as this one.
Okay. And then my last question, it's a kind of a safety issue. The lighting, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like it's 3 sets of lights, correct? Is that it?
Correct.
So then, just in terms of, it could be a dark parking lot, dark corners. I'm just wondering, are there any, call boxes or anything in the event there's, an emergency and late at night when somebody's being dropped off? I'm just a little concerned for somebody's safety walking across a parking lot like that.
We can, I haven't discussed that with the client, but we can certainly do that and take that under advisement.
Yeah, I just think it would be prudent somewhere in there, especially given, it's a long parking lot.
Can I make a suggestion? We could also ask that before the shuttle driver leaves the lot, okay, that the shuttle driver physically observe everyone that he or she has dropped off get into their vehicles. Because as Al testified before, in case there's a problem with non-employees using the lot, Valley proposes to put a locked chain. And the way that would work is because the lot would be used by employees from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., the first shuttle would probably get there at 6 a.m. The first shuttle could unlock the chain and then wait until 8:30 to lock the chain again. But again, because of that, on the drop off, it's really the last of the drop offs when it's dark out, even when the lights are on, that I think the issue that the mayor is asking about, and having the shuttle driver just wait. Most people have cell phones nowadays, but the shuttle driver, we can ensure have a cell phone. I think that's the best way to do security.
Valley does intend to post a call number.
I know, Al, but that's not her question is, someone gets dropped off. If the shuttle bus driver just left the lot, and that person is dropped off and now they're walking across the lot to get into their car. And what if someone is, waiting in the wings, so to speak? That's why she was asking, is there a call
Yeah, I
box?
think I'm just like kind of thinking, what are there security cameras?
Right.
I guess like even security cameras, I'm just kind of thinking that this is a big parking lot. And just
So-
in terms of physical safety of
Right.
people that might be,
So a security camera is going to record what happened. What we want to do, what the mayor's question is, prevent something from happening. That's why I think the best idea is to just state in here, you put it in as a condition of approval that the shuttle driver can't leave the lot until the shuttle driver physically observes all the people that have been dropped off have gotten into their cars.
I have a couple questions.
When is the last shuttle? What time is the last shuttle again? I'm so sorry to repeat.
I believe
8
it
p.m.
was 8 o'clock.
So
That's
can I
why-
just ask a question quickly about
Yep.
like if so you work in a hospital, you work 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Oftentimes many staff members will work 7 to 3 and 3 to 11 and work a 16-hour shift. That's a common shift to work. What about an employee that parks in that lot and and most nurses, certainly I'll speak to nursing because that's a background I have familiarity in, but your shift may end at 11, your next person comes in, you have to give report, it's 11:30.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
not on it. So how is that something
Right.
that's planning to be addressed? And again,
Right.
to the mayor's point, in a dark parking lot, sort of where their car was parked at.
Right. This lot is not going to be used by anyone whose shift gets out after 8 p.m. In other words, the staffing is not the same in a 24-hour period. This lot is until all the parking facilities are done at the new hospital in Paramus. They're going to be short some spaces during the real busy time. That real busy time the hospital has identified is between people coming in at 6:30 a.m. and people being dropped off in this lot at 8 p.m. And so again, if the board wants, you can impose a condition, do the lock chain now, since Valley's willing to do the lock chain at any time. The entrance can be locked. No one can come in before 6:30 other than the van to open it. No one can come in after 8 p.m. because when the van leaves, it's going to be locked. So this lot's not going to be used outside those time periods.
So Valley can easily manage which shifts park here, or which people from which shifts park here.
So I have a couple of questions. If this goes ahead, the people that are going to be parking here, are they going to be working at the hospital in Ridgewood on Van Deen?
No, this is
Paramus.
yes.
So this wouldn't even, Paramus is not scheduled to open for another few years, correct?
Correct.
So this wouldn't be used for a few years?
No. Hold on one second.
Well,
I think that's my question as well, Lorraine.
They have facilities there that are operating right now. There's medical offices, there's engineering, you have the Luck House Center. Okay, there's a facilities building that's actually completed and just we're getting the CO right now.
Yeah, Al is correct. And they're short spaces. They're going to be short spaces until the parking garage and all the other parking facilities are constructed in Paramus. They're short spaces now.
So this is definitely all for Paramus.
I have a feeling, I'm not so sure about that. I have a feeling that this could also be used for Ridgewood. I'm going to try to find out right now. I'm going to let Al, if you could ask your other questions, and I'm going to try to get back to you right now.
Because I'd also be curious as to the route that the shuttle buses are going to take.
Yeah,
Are they going to be going up and down Van Deen, Linwood all day long, or
With
Glen
school
Ave?
traffic and traffic for the schools letting in and out all morning. It's a traffic jam on Van Deen for Valley as it is.
Right, those hours are.
So I can make a representation. It's going to also be used by the hospital on 1200 East Ridgewood Avenue. But again, parking is permitted. This is a permitted use here. That's one of the uses for this property is a parking lot. So, I mean, presumably, that was considered by the governing body when they said, yeah, this area is appropriate for parking lots.
Okay, so let me ask another question. Can we bring up the existing tree exhibit again? And can you zoom in on the back property where the red trees are that are going to stay? Okay.
Is that good?
Yes, thank you. So the existing fence are the lines then with the X's, line X, line X.
Yes, that's the
And-
existing fence, and we're proposing to put the new fence in the same location.
The same exact location.
Yes.
So that funky kind of, it's not a straight line.
It's not, but it goes around trees.
Okay,
That's why it's like that.
all right. I mean, because even some of those trees look really close to the fence, and if you're putting a PVC fence up, that tree, in a couple of years, the diameter of the tree is going to move and crack that PVC fencing.
Well, we could put the fence a few inches off the tree.
It has to be a lot more than that. I mean, the reason why I'm saying this is because this happened to me at my house, and it's not that many years that the tree grows big enough
No, that's a
and
good,
it breaks the fencing.
yeah, that's a good point. We can determine, I guess, a good distance and work with your engineer and or planner and move the fence in just a little bit.
So then where would, the original plan had like a row of arborvitaes. I know you're going to be changing that up, which I like, I agree. But where is that row of shrubbery going to be?
Okay, so he needs to go
The
to the
new one?
site plan. Yeah, Al, you got to get the site plan up now instead of the.
Well, I want to
existing
know
portion.
compared to the fence, how far from the fence is it going to be?
What's it?
So the new row of plantings would be right here,
Mm-hmm.
and the foliage would be more or less up against the fence. We're trying, we might, if we move the fence in a little bit, we might have to move the shrubbery a little bit. We were trying to keep it as far from the parking lot as possible, so the heat from the radiators, things like that, does not harm the plants.
What is the linear foot from, the edge of the parking lot where the cars would be to the fence?
Over here at the northerly end, it's probably about 7, maybe a little bit less than 7 feet.
Okay.
And over here, it's probably on the order of 9.
And over here, meaning Al, what side of the property is
That
that?
would be the southerly end of the parking lot along the rear property line.
Okay. Because you have to be very, you got to be careful. A lot of those trees are going to grow into the parking lot, the foliage.
Yes.
Okay, and then the bus shelter or the shelter, I just have a concern because, in downtown Ridgewood, they had to lock the shelter up because people are using it to sleep, to urinate, things like that. Like, what kind of security measures are going to be in place so people don't use it for those type of purposes?
Well, the regular Valley security people will be patrolling this site as needed. Valley does not want to have any of those type of problems for sure. And if, like I say, if some problem like that does develop, they'll take the steps necessary to mitigate it.
I mean, we'd hate to start out by putting locked doors on it, but if there was a problem and it needed locked doors, so be it.
Yep. I
So
think
just
Valerie
like
can
you
do-
said, the security cameras would find out something after it happened. What I would think this is right directly, behind this lot is a residential neighborhood, and right up here off of Pine Street and Second Street, those are homes. Those are families and homes. Why wouldn't we just start off stopping something from happening before it did? These sorts of shelters in a dark, large parking lot tend to bring about some sort of issue. And I appreciate Lorraine bringing that up. So let me ask, I guess, to join on to that question, have there been any issues with the lot in Paramus at any point?
None.
Where you've required
no.
some assistance to the bus shelter in the evening or the nighttime?
Not to my knowledge. It looks like, I've been told anyway, there have been no issues. If you look at this photo number 1 on the bus shelter exhibit, it looks like there's two doors, one on either side.
Al, I'm telling you right now, we can stipulate that we could put locked doors if that's what the board wants. We can put locked doors
I'm just
on
pointing
this.
out that the doors are already part of
Yeah,
the
but
shelter.
I don't know if those are locked doors or not. What I'm saying is we could stipulate that if the board wants, we could put locked doors when the first shuttle comes on site, unlocks the chain, then unlocks these doors. When the last shuttle leaves the site, first of all, the driver's making sure everyone got in their cars. Then those doors are locked, and then he or she, the driver, locks the chain.
So I just want to say, I don't know how practical that is, and I'm just being honest here. I'm okay with it either way, but the only reason I say it's probably not practical, you have to assume that folks are going to get there in advance of the first shuttle, and so you're going to have this locked chain.
Well,
And
again,
lock-
right, but the people are being told 6:30. The first shuttle is getting there at 6.
Got it. Okay, sorry, Jonathan. Okay. all good.
And the last shuttle, they're being told 8 o'clock, but we're not turning off the lights till 8:30.
Understood. Okay.
The shuttle, when it gets there at 6, and I know this is probably, a little bit of I'm not trying to be excessive with the question about it, but will it idle from 6 to 6:30 in that lot?
Technically, under the law, he's not allowed to.
Right, nobody is, but it's almost impossible to enforce that. And, it's not enforced. If I'm not mistaken, that's not enforced by police, but the idling certainly presents an issue. So technically, he's not allowed to idle. Will it be something that is?
Well, put it this way, make it a condition of approval in the resolution. I can say that that the drivers are going to be instructed, they are not allowed to idle. I just can't say that some driver, every single driver is going to listen, but you put it in the resolution, and if someone sees idling, I mean, how do most zoning violations in every municipality in the state of New Jersey, most of them, someone calls the zoning officer because they see something. So make it a condition.
I have a question. What about winter time? And I'm thinking about winter time, if I was getting off at 8 o'clock or got there at 8:15 and there was a lot of snow, who's gonna be responsible for helping these people get out? Since you have to lock the gate at 8:30.
Right, but Valley has snow removal that it does at all its facilities. And remember, Al went through the testimony of actually where the snow is going to be piled up here. That is Valley's responsibility. They have to make sure that their employees get to the hospital to work, and they have to make sure that their employees get back to this lot safely and can drive home.
Okay. And then my next point is, I just kind of want to bring up again what Lorraine was talking about was the route, the mapped out route that these buses are going to take.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I understand that you don't know, but I'm just saying that that would be something that should be brought back to the committee, because Linwood Avenue is hectic at that hour, and so is Ridgewood Avenue.
And Glen as well.
And those are the direct routes to get to where you're going, unless you plan on going on 7.
Is everyone hearing her?
Did you hear what I said?
No, can you repeat?
Unless you plan on going on 17,
Oh.
Darlene, that's where you cut out.
Yeah, that's the last thing I said, unless you plan on going.
I don't know the answer. I can only imagine that they're going to try to take the most direct route and they're not going to, you know, I'm just being very frank about it. And again, I don't see that as the problem that you're envisioning.
Cause I travel that way all the time in the morning. So
But think of it this way, it would, if those people weren't coming to this lot and then getting on a shuttle, they would all be driving to the hospital. So instead of having 12 to 16 people, let's say in a 15-minute time period, drive to this lot and then all get on a shuttle and go to the hospital or go to 1200 East Ridgewood, all 12 or 16 people would be driving right to the hospital.
That's if they came from this side of Ridgewood.
Yeah, correct, but we don't. So I
They're
don't.
not all coming from the same
They're
place.
not all coming from Ridgewood. That's just what would be my concern is the route, because we get enough traffic from schools that they bring that back to.
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't know. I don't have a solution to that one.
So can I just go back to the site plan? I just had some other additional questions. I'm not as worried about the route, honestly, but sorry.
Why? We ask about routes all the time. I don't think it's outlandish for any of us to inquire about a route. And I don't think anybody should be made to feel silly for asking either. I mean, it's a fair question.
Excuse me, pardon me. I only said I'm not as concerned about the route. I'm entitled to be not that concerned about the route.
She's entitled to be concerned about it, and I share her concern. So we're entitled to say we'd like sort of an answer on it before we just brush past it onto anything else.
I wasn't brushing past anything. I merely pointed out I had some additional questions on the site plan, which is why we're here. So Al, I just wanted to ask a question. Did you have any plans for electric vehicles in this lot?
No.
Okay. And then the other question is, and I just was listening to Councilwoman Reynolds regarding the trees and the shrubbery and the I guess the amount of space. It's really not my wheelhouse, I admit that. But I had a question. There's no, from my, let me just see what sheet we're looking at here.
Sheet 1.
Actually, no, it's the, no, it's not, but it's not going to matter. There's no accommodating compact cars, and I'm throwing this out there. It's just a thought, because if the spaces along the eastern part of the property, along the adjacent property owners, in the back of the lot, were reduced to compact car size and left at the point where they are, that actually gives you, I believe, an additional 2 feet of potential green space, allowing for those flexibility of the street. I gotta tell you, I mean, I have a small car. Almost everyone I know has a small car. And I think that might be beneficial if you add those compact spaces, mark them as compact. And it's entirely up to you, but it allows you to have, even if you did some of them, it allows you a little additional green space there.
Sure. I guess the required depth of the parking space is 20 feet in Ridgewood, and that's actually on the large side. In my opinion, if we reduce that 1 row parking spaces to 18 feet, okay, from 20, we would pick up the 2 feet, and I don't think you need to restrict it to compact cars.
You're right, and I think Chris is on where's Chris Rudishauser? Chris, I thought we had some provisions. I know there's the chart for compact cars. I always thought that was 16 feet for US, and then there's the 18 and then 20, but US, the 20 is probably for a larger SUV. Maybe Chris could weigh in on that.
Yeah, could we ask Chris, if we cut down from 20 feet to 18 feet, do we need a variance, or can we just do it? Because if we can just do it, let's just do it. And the one other thing I just wanted to make sure before I forgot, remember, the reason we're not doing electric here, this is envisioned as a temporary lot. This is not going to be a permanent lot.
Understood. I was fine with it. So all I'm saying is, so let's go back and look at that.
Yeah.
If we can reduce that even to the 18 feet, we pick up an additional leaving
right.
the spaces where they are. We are just going to move that proposed curb line 2 feet west.
Yep.
And that gives us the additional space, maybe for some smaller additional plantings. It allows the space for the trees. And that may resolve the concern that Councilwoman Reynolds raised.
I think that's a good idea, and I'll just reiterate that the 18 feet is fine, for most vehicles.
Right, I just want to find out,
Yeah.
are we allowed to, is Chris on? Are we allowed to do that, or do we need a variance to do that?
I don't think he's on. I think he's
I
on
didn't
vacation.
see him at any point.
On vacation.
How about Marion? How about
We didn't even miss them.
How about the board? Does the board planning expert know? Can we reduce 20-foot depth to 18 feet without needing a variance?
I think you do need variance, but I agree with your engineer that that 18 feet is satisfactory.
Okay, well, we have catch-all language in our notice.
Mhm.
So I will apply for a variance orally right now. We would like to amend the application to apply for a C2 benefits versus detriments variance for the parking spaces along the eastern property line to go from 20 feet deep to 18 feet deep. And the purpose of zoning that's going to be advanced are going to be general purposes, which would include having 2 more feet of landscaping. This could push the landscaping further away, and also this could push the fence further away from the trees. It's it's a double win. It's like a 2-run home run.
Wow, I didn't know I was getting a 2-run home run. I feel good.
Can I ask a question while we have the site plan up? So the neighbors on the east side, eastern side, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Is that a double lot at the end there?
I think it is, yes.
Okay. How deep are their properties? Does anybody know?
No.
I've been back there, Lorraine, and they're not exceptionally deep. They're average. I couldn't speak to the exact number. I don't think that they're anything.
Okay. And all those neighbors have been noticed, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone within 200 feet of the entire, all 6 of the lots.
So I will tell you that they're fairly close. Melanie is correct. I actually was over there and took a whole ton of photos, but I think the fence and the shrubbery will mitigate any concern.
Yeah, I'm worried
It's
about
already a
the
parking lot.
lights, lights going. But if they have, so it's going to be a privacy fence, a 6-foot privacy fence, right?
Correct.
And is there any issue with putting up a 6-foot privacy fence? Because in our ordinance, we're really not allowed, right? But is it different for a commercial property?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 6-foot permitted along commercial properties. Right, Marianne?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We tried to the greatest extent possible to try to make this the least number of variances possible.
So I think that the application itself, I mean, just from my perspective, is fine. I think that I want to just go back to the route. And I don't think that we can make, I'll defer to Steve Wellinghorst, our attorney. I don't think that we can make a route, this application contingent on a specific route, but I think it might be, and I'm asking Steve that question specifically because, I mean, essentially it's an as of right application. So, I mean, I don't know how you put any restrictions on which way. I mean, logically, if it were me and I were driving a bus, because I make no left turns in life, I only ever go right. So if I were the shuttle bus, I would just simply never make a left anyway, because it would be a harrowing experience. So, but I just want to ask Steve Wellinghorst to answer that question.
Yeah, I don't think you can force them to pick a certain route. You can ask them to be good neighbors and do it a certain way. And I understand the concerns, because any way you go, there's going to be a route that goes by
A school.
either a grammar school or a middle school, right? So there's always going to be children walking on any of those three major roads that you talked about, either Glen, Linwood, or Ridgewood Avenue. The other alternative, I guess, is to go around through Franklin and come back up one of the side streets to the hospital. But even then, you're still going to encounter children during those times of day. So, there's no real way to restrict them from picking a route. They're public roads, and they're going to win on that one.
And I think that it's mindful that it's not, it's temporary for this application, but and I don't, God only knows what's going to happen in the future. But the one thing I will say is there is an inherent benefit to going a particular way, because we have to remember that for some that don't know, that the S Hill Road is going to have to change to a one-way. And so there's all these changes that are happening as a result of the state. And so it's not going, that they're going to actually take that route, the better route anyway, based on probably that alone. So there's going to be some reason that they'll go that direction logically.
I think the reason I definitely, we've done these before and asked for a route, and been given without sort of much hesitation, specifically when they are so close to schools, and Steve's right, that there's no way, I can't think of a single way unless they went down Franklin and got onto 17, if this is truly going to Paramus. But I guess if they are possibly going to 1200
Correct.
Ridgewood Ave and other areas too, there's just no way. And that'll always be my concern, is the safety issues, the hours of the days that we're talking about being sort of their most busy or the most frequent trips are the times of days that you have, your most amount of kids out walking. And that's why I asked, or even sort of pressed the issue of a route or any idea of a route, and not just sort of brushing it to the side. Like, we don't know, we'll figure it out. It's something to consider. I wouldn't think that Valley's wouldn't want to go out of their way to be harmful to that situation. I just mean, I don't think it's a strange ask to look where we might go.
He's on a schedule too. Look, if I'm a bus driver, I'm on a schedule. I got to be every 15 minutes. There's going to be shuttle buses. He's not going to want to go where all the traffic is backed up by the PF. They're not going to want to go that way. So there's a logical way that he's going to actually circumvent those traffic issues. So, I mean, I just think it's just a natural process.
I can make a representation that Valley will take into consideration who parks in the lot and the best route where they're going, because they don't want their employees unnecessarily sitting in, traffic either.
There might be like a shuttle A and a shuttle B. One's going to 1200 and one is going to somewhere else.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're
Correct.
planning.
And just for the record, these employees get paid from the time they hit the lot, not from the time they get dropped off at either the hospital or 1200 East Ridgewood, or so.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Hey,
How's that?
Whoever's the nurse, I hope you have that deal wherever you work.
Hey, Jonathan, I don't think it's unreasonable for the board to ask ahead of time if Valley has already a plan on what routes they want to take.
We do not. There is
Okay.
no, that's my problem. That's why I couldn't answer the question. We don't have a plan. I can say they're gonna figure it out when they see who's coming and who's going to which places.
I think it would be in their best interest to advise the board as early as possible.
Okay, that's a good idea.
See, I
Yep.
knew, I wasn't trying to say we had to figure it out right now. I just thought it needed a little more
I
conversation.
thought you wanted it figured out before. Oh, no
didn't want it.
problem. Okay, I didn't, that's my bad, my bad. As soon as we figure it out, we can send it in a letter to the board secretary.
And work together on it. That's appropriate.
Okay, I have just one last question. I know we talked about irrigation, so that I assume is along the eastern border between the property, between
Right.
the neighbors.
That's correct. I can answer that. We need the landscaping company to hand water the front, but there's going to be an irrigation system in the back that'll be on a timer, and just like the lights will be able to be adjusted by a computer or by a personal device, the same thing with the irrigation.
That was my question on the front. That's gonna be hand watered?
They're in planters, yeah.
Well,
Why can't the trees and the planters be
planters,
planted?
That's gonna be really hard to hand
Al,
water.
not if there's a hose bib and the landscaper goes out there, just like you would water, unless you have an irrigation system at your house. For example, my house, we have hose bibs all over the place. We don't have an irrigation system. So yeah, it's a pain.
And
But-
Diane, I think one of the reasons why they couldn't be planted is there's a concrete slab there, right? So they can't be planted.
We'd have to, I don't know where you'd put the sprinkler heads.
so the raised planter boxes will be hand watered. That's really the only practical way of doing it. We may put a hose bib near the shelter so that, the water source is readily available. But the new planting beds in the right front corner, as well as the one along the rear, will be irrigated.
Al, you sure that those new planters going
This
to be
area,
irrigated?
this area up here is not a concrete slab.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Lorraine.
Bless you.
Oh, did somebody sneeze? I'm sorry, I was coughing.
Oh, we thought you sneezed.
Oh no, I'm
It's
trying
weird
to hold my cough.
Holy cow, you can't even say bless you to her today.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. I'll take the blessings.
Bless you, lady.
So I have one more question. If nobody else has,
I have a question.
who's going to be, I see these trash cans on the bus shelter page. And I just point out they're not the most attractive trash receptacles, but I just want to know who's going to be taking the garbage? If they obviously you have to have, I see there's a recycling here in the Paramus shelter. There's 2 trash cans. Who's responsible and what's the scheduling on that? Do we know?
Well, the hospital, Valley's responsible.
Right, I know who's responsible. I meant the scheduling.
Yeah, I don't know the scheduling, but however they do it at Paramus, that's what they're going to do here.
Okay.
I don't know if when the security guy does his sweep, I don't know if the security guy reports in that the thing's getting full. I don't know how that happens, but I know that it'll be taken care of because that's what they do in Paramus right now.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I have a question about the building. Half the roof is gone and part of the wall's gone. Right now, there's a fence around it to keep people out.
Correct.
Is that going to remain?
No, what Al had said before is true. Right now, the insurance company, I'm making this representation, I'm not testifying. The information I got was that the insurance company has told them they can't touch anything. They got to do a forensic investigation. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Like it snowed a lot, the roof collapsed. But the insurance company has to do an investigation. Once they finish that, then they'll release it. We're going to have to get structural drawings done. We're going to have to apply for any approvals or permits that are required, but it will be rebuilt.
Yeah, but until then, because that's going to take a long time, is there going to be a fence keeping people out?
Right now, there's a temporary fence. Whatever is needed for safety and security, they will do.
Well, is that part of the plan?
No, I mean.
Right now, they're not going to do anything? Because right now, you could walk down the back and half the roof.
Right. At the time this application was filed, that roof was intact. That's why you see nothing on this plan. We didn't plan on having the roof fall in. I'm not saying this to be funny or anything. So the roof is falling in. The insurance company has told them not to touch it. I asked them yesterday to put a call into the insurance company to push this thing along so we can get a plan in place, because a temporary, metal construction fence would be, more safety than this. All I can say is they're working on it and they will be doing whatever they have to do for approvals, permits, for safety to take care of that problem. And again, the only reason it's not shown on these plans is because when this was all submitted, that building was intact.
Right. So there's no provision to put a fence around it now? To continue?
There's a temporary fence around it now.
Right, but it goes into where the parking lot is.
Yeah. I don't have an answer. All I can say is, again, that Valley is going to take care of the problem. I just don't know what the solution's going to be. I don't know when some other fence is going up there. I don't have answers to the questions you're asking.
I'll walk back there and it's not safe to be on the side of that building. Half the truss roof is missing.
Yeah, just so you know, the general counsel and vice president of the hospital who's listening to this just texted me, I'm all over this. He's right. This is a dangerous situation.
Right.
He's going to be pushing this thing more tomorrow.
But a condition of any approval could be that that's appropriately secured.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a condition of approval. So I think that to answer your question, Jim, I think that if you're inclined to be supportive of the application, that language can be in there.
And
that's just because I didn't see it on the plan, so I wanted to make sure that there's something keeping people away from there.
I will stipulate that that's a reasonable condition to impose on the approval of the parking lot, that building over there get remediated and get put into a safe condition, and whatever would going to satisfy Mr. Van. I can't read the rest of your last name.
Van Gore.
Van Gore.
It's clearly in Valley's best interest to have that piece of property secure. They don't want the problems that can arise from it.
Correct.
And I would be very confident that they will address something like that.
Yeah, I can assure you it will be, because I have the text from the general counsel and senior vice president telling me to tell you that.
And he just said it on a public meeting.
And
on record.
And I'm
Someone
being
gets hurt
recorded.
back there.
And I'm being recorded.
All right, as long as it's a stipulation that it'll be secured, that's fine.
Agreed. So stipulated.
Can I ask a question which may be silly? You mentioned, because I'm not aware of what's being built in Paramus, other than the hospital itself, but you're saying there's a building that's coming close to being completed?
No, there's a building already in Paramus, the Luckow Pavilion.
Well, I know about Luckow. I know about all the rest of that stuff. I'm just asking, what would make this such an emergent need that you'd be put? I mean, listen, that parking lot's terrible. I'm very familiar with Cliff Street and the entire area around there. And I'm saying, what makes this parking lot suddenly such a need and a busy thoroughfare when the parking has already existed at Luckow and Valley and whatever? I can understand if the hospital, if certain pieces of the new hospital were opening. I'm just curious what makes this.
Because Alec, can I have this one, please? There's no parking for construction workers and staff at Luckow. Construction workers have to park over at Luckow. So the employees in any of the places at Luckow are going to get kicked to this parking lot, number one. There's no parking, not enough parking at 1200 East Ridgewood Avenue. There's going to be employees from 1200 Eastwood Avenue also. But
so Luckow is bumped to 1200 and 1200 is bumped.
No, Luckow is bumped to this lot and 1200 is also bumped to this lot. We have a parking shortage at 1200, and the further the construction goes, the more of a parking shortage we have at Luckow.
In Paramus, you have Luckow, there's another building that is just renovated, okay? And that's 599 Winter Valley Health Plaza. And that's the engineering offices and facilities management, things like that. And that's part of the new hospital complex. So that's basically online right now. And the construction is displacing a lot of existing parking. For instance, Valley has an office building at 140 Ridgewood Avenue. Okay, that's right next to the hospital. And the construction, namely a parking garage, is displacing a large amount of parking for an existing building there. So
and also, let me add one other thing.
Facilities
right
that
now,
that are occupied, and the construction is taking away parking temporarily.
And right now, there's another temporary thing, which hopefully will go away, but they're also doing vaccinations at 599, which is also taking up parking spaces. Now that will hopefully, God willing, everyone gets vaccinated and that will stop. But that's why if we seem like, we feel a little desperate, we do.
How long will it take to do this after, you get approved and then you have to wait for your resolution and give a little turnaround time? What's your time frame on this?
Al, that one's for you.
Well, we'd like to construct it this summer.
Okay, all right, good.
I guess if you're bumping your employees from luck out of there, they should probably be getting paid from the minute they hit the lot. That's a pretty big ask for the employees. What is being done behind 1200 currently? Not that that's before us, but is there some bump of traffic or parking back behind there as well?
Yeah,
There's a
do
lot
not-
of construction happening back there currently
I do not know, but whatever's happening there is. I
to do
think
with
is
this same thing. Parking and stuff.
Probably, yeah.
What is the timeline? Like, say you get approved and you start June 1. Is this a 3 month, 4 months, 6 months?
Al?
Probably 2.5, say 3 months.
Any further board questions at all? Mary Ann, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Does anyone from the public have any questions for Al Lopatka? Just raise your hand, and when you're let in, you state your name and address, and then you can ask questions of Mr. Lopatka based upon his testimony.
And Al, can you take this off the screen so we can see everybody unless someone asks that it be put back up? Thanks.
Anyone raise their hand, Dylan?
Yes.
Okay.
Bringing them right now, just says Beth. It's a little sluggish tonight.
Hmm.
Come on. Let me see if allowed it to pop. Oh, there you go.
I bet turn your video on and unmute, and then state your name and address.
Mute. I did that.
Okay. Start your video.
I don't know how to do that. May I just speak with you?
Your video will be on the lower left-hand corner.
Lower left. Sorry about that.
Start video.
Okay, Zoom, webinar, lower left. Mute, I got.
Right next to that.
Right next to that.
Did I
Should be like a video camera
Yeah, there's a
looking.
picture of a camera. You click on it.
Well, I got an up arrow, select a microphone, internal microphone, yes, speakers.
That's fine.
Can
She
you?
might
hear-
have something covering her camera too. Some of them have that.
Possible. All right, I'm gonna do it again and pick, oh, microphone, I see. But
Yeah,
you
right.
want video, there's not a sucker there.
It's not joining her in as a panelist for some reason. It's just allowing her to talk.
Uh-huh. All right, may I just ask my quick question?
Yeah, just state your name and address, just so we have it for the record.
All right, I'm Beth Ann DiLorenzo. I'm one of the property owners that I'm adjacent to the construction area you're discussing tonight.
Okay, your address number?
576 Barnett.
Okay.
Okay. My question is one about the security of the bus shelter and the lighting, of course. And also, I do think there's going to be a traffic issue because I've lived here since 72. So, you know, I'm familiar with the traffic patterns that happen. A bus turning into that one driveway, you don't have an exit driveway, so both buses leaving and arriving will be coming in that same driveway, correct?
All right. Yeah,
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes, the driveway is wide enough for two-way traffic.
Okay, because there's quite a bit of traffic in the morning. First of all, with the train station not so far away, school buses and just normal traffic, you're going to have a lot of issues with them keeping a schedule, I think. Then the 15 minutes, it's going to be tight. So I don't know what's going to happen to the traffic. I just want to make you aware that it will be difficult. And if the bus comes in, he's facing one direction, stops at the bus shelter, how will he then be turning around? Will he make a circuit of the parking lot and
Yes.
then go out?
Yes, he would drive in a circular.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think you're going to have a very busy parking lot with people driving, parking, whatever. But my other concern is the lighting. Now, it's wonderful that you will have these lighting poles in the middle of the lot so that hopefully a lot of the light won't become an intrusion in our backyards, hopefully. But you're talking about a diffuse light so that it reaches all the corners of the lot. Is that correct?
It's an LED fixture, and it's different from the I'll call the old traditional fixtures that had a bulb and a reflector in it.
Okay. Okay.
Those lights depended on the actual shape and efficiency of the reflector to direct the illumination in a certain pattern, and
Yes.
is crude and inaccurate. With these fixtures, they're actually able to orient the individual LED modules, I'll call them, to shine in certain directions. So you get a the lighting pattern is very even compared to the older lights, or certainly the lights that are there right now.
The ones that are there now, we lived with when it was the Ford property.
Yeah.
And they did go off. They were timed to go off, I think about 2 in the morning maybe, but still it wasn't intrusive. So if you
Well,
can do,
that's a horrible type of light.
yes.
The ones that are there right now. It's
Yeah.
it's basically a floodlight.
Yeah, so if you can work on that part of it, we would definitely appreciate that. The other part is security of the bus shelter. I'm familiar with the train station, and they do have to lock that shelter because you do get people trying to use that for housing and whatever. And I'm just concerned about not having it locked overnight.
We offered that if the board wants, we'll have locked the doors will have locks on them, and they'll be locked when the last shuttle goes out after 8 p.m. Shuttle driver, after he or she sees everyone get in their cars, shuttle driver is going to lock the doors to the shelter, and then we'll lock a chain over the entrance. And then the next morning, when the shuttle driver gets there at 6 a.m., he or she will unlock the chain, then unlock the doors to the shelter. And that will, I think that answers both the board's and your questions about security, unauthorized use of the lot, and shenanigans, let's just say, going on in the shelter.
Oh, yes. Well, the chain, of course, will not keep out anyone walking in, which.
No, it'll keep cars out, but the locked doors on the shelter will, I mean, if someone's going to walk into the parking lot, they're going to walk into the parking lot. There's really nothing unless we put up huge, ugly fence, around it.
No, I'm just saying we just want to defeat the thought of anybody trying to use it for that purpose.
Right, we agree with you. We're against shenanigans.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those were my questions. And for the next meeting, perhaps I will figure out how to work the video. But thank you for your time and effort.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Anyone else from the public have any questions for Al Lopatka? Just raise your hand and you'll be admitted in.
I'm not showing any others.
Okay. John, Alexander's your only witness, right?
That's right, my only witness, and I waive a closing argument.
Wait, I have a question. I'm sorry, I just have a question. Questions beget questions. So Al, where is the lighting detail, the specs on the proposed lighting? I'm just going through my sheets and I don't see those. And maybe I missed them?
Let's see. If you look at sheet 4 of 4, it's in the lower left corner.
Mayor, do you want Al to put that up on the screen?
I found it. I got it. I found it. Okay, good. So what do we have here? We have a 20-foot height.
20-foot total height, and there's a decorative masonry base.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right, fine. All right, good. That height is, I guess, necessary for the size of the lot?
Well, it's necessary to get the spread on the light.
All right, understood.
If you were going to go any lower, then you would probably have to at least double the amount of light poles, if not more.
Right, got it. Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that wants to testify at all? They can raise their hand and they'll be admitted in. Anyone raise their hand?
No, I'm not showing anybody.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to make public comment? They can raise their hand.
Give them a second.
All
I'm not showing anybody.
right. So, John, you waived.
I waived my closing.
Okay, let's just have a motion to formally close the hearing and to deliberate. Do we have a motion to
Oh,
close?
wait, I want just one more question. I'm sorry. Now, what is the Wi-Fi dimming control system?
That's for the lights.
Right,
For the
how does
lights,
that, how does that work?
Pretty much the newest technology and lighting controls. That's actually coming inside buildings now too.
Right, so somebody can do that from somewhere?
So there's a little
Computer,
module
handheld
that's-
device.
that's on the top of the light, okay, that screws into a receptacle. And there has to be a transmitter someplace. It could be on the bus shelter, it could be on one of the adjacent buildings. Okay, there's a little Wi-Fi transmitter. And that connects the system to a computer,
Okay.
basically. And from that computer, which could be your cell phone, okay, you can program it so that it does certain things each day, and you can override it, temporarily or reprogram it as needed.
Okay, understood. All right, I'm good, Richard. Sorry.
Okay, motion to formally close so we can deliberate. Someone make a motion.
I'll move.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, let's deliberate. Anyone can jump in.
Well, the locked shelter first. I mean, that's got to be a stipulation.
Yeah, we agreed.
Yeah, fine. At first it seemed like it was not a big deal and I want to make sure. I feel strongly the neighbors would appreciate it, and I think it's just a safer option. For me personally, that's the stipulation.
There would be the lot chain, the chain.
Or the lock on the terminal, the bus station itself.
Yep.
Oh,
No
yeah, I'm
lock.
sorry. You said and. I'm sorry. My apologies.
The chain. And no idling.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I would have woken up at 3 a.m. this morning and been so sad that I didn't remember to say that. Oh, shenanigans. Can we put that in the actual, I think it needs to be
That's a legal term of art.
right next to no tomfoolery.
Just so you know, I texted and I checked with the vice president and general counsel, and I said, we are against shenanigans, aren't we? And she texted me back and said, we certainly are against shenanigans. So I want that on the record also.
That's the hardest I've ever laughed with a Valley lawyer before.
Secure the building next door would be another one.
Okay, so, and then we're just going to add, I think that was a C2 variance for the parking, that change in the stall
Right,
size.
from 20 feet deep to 18 feet
18.
deep.
Okay.
That was a good idea.
Okay.
And
So does that, so do we need to memorialize in that as well, that then we're going to expand that curb 2 feet to the west? Steve?
Right, because we're also gonna, it's not simply that we want them 18 feet deep. You want to lose 2 feet of pavement on the eastern side.
Right, so we're going to expand the curb out the 2 feet and add landscape, green space.
You don't want to expand the curb out, you want to pull it in, right?
Yes.
You want more green.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm moving the curb 2 feet west.
yes.
But
okay.
it allows for more green space, so
Yep,
whatever the legal term is fine by me. It's okay. Or technical term, whatever. Okay.
Anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have, you want to just frame it or just what we discussed, lock shelter, lot chain?
Oh,
items?
the hose bib from the Marianne's comment. What? Marianne, what do you want? Writing it in, you're right there.
Well, deliberation. I didn't want to interrupt.
So we want to state that it meets the criteria for the variance relief.
Uh-huh.
Okay. For
So there's C1 variances for the existing conditions to remain.
Right.
C2 for the 18-foot deep parking spaces. The one exception / waiver for the street trees, and then site plan approval. Subject to all the conditions, hose bib, the irrigation in the back, irrigation, like Al said, for the new planter boxes. Let me see if I have anything.
You have to include the lights, or is that covered in the existing ordinance?
That's in the existing, on the existing plans.
We mentioned the lock shelter, lot chain, no idling, secure building, so.
Yep.
We have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Jane, call the roll.
Who did you call?
Ethan Gore,
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynolds,
Yes.
Susan, you don't get the vote. That was that traffic comment that kicked right off.
Nobody's
Sorry,
talking
Mayor
to me
Knudsen?
after tonight. I'm sorry.
Mayor Knudsen.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm yes.
Okay. Ms. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Huban,
Yes.
Barto,
Yes.
Ms. Westner,
Where's Allison?
She's muted.
He's muted.
Yes.
okay.
And-
Ms.
He
Johnson,
thinks this is shenanigans.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes. All right.
Can I just ask one last question? So, Jonathan, we're gonna get like some bus route or something. I think that
Yeah.
or
we're gonna,
as best. I mean, nobody's gonna hold anyone. Right. Got it.
To be a good neighbor and for cooperation, once they get the bus routes, there might be multiple, then we're going to send a letter into the board secretary with that.
Perfect. Good. Thank
And
you.
let me, I think you mentioned this, but this is just Monday through Friday, right? It's
Yes,
closed
this
on
is
Saturday and Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. All right. We're good.
All right.
I want
Congratulations.
to thank everyone so much. I will tell you, this is a much more pleasant experience for me this time around than the last time I was before you guys.
Most of us were there the last time.
Oh, yes, we were.
I know.
We're still
I know.
happy, but we're still happy to see you.
Yeah, and the same. I look forward
We
to
all look very different.
I know.
And less
Everyone
angry.
looks younger, okay?
Well, and we'll send Robin our best because she's out there, right?
Oh, yeah, she's out there.
Yep.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Take care, Al.
Again, what's next? More. No. No more from you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda will be discussion regarding updating master plan. We had the subcommittee met and we discussed this matter, and I guess we agreed on doing an RFQ for our planner, and that was circulated to the board to review. So we'll take questions and comments and with respect to it. But this seems to be the next step that we have to do to get someone to devise the plan for us based upon our visioning and other inputs that we have for it.
So Richard, I'd like to, on item E, project timetable, I'd like to be a little bit more specific about, sorry, about the start time. The goal is to start. I'd like to kind of hone in on mid-July so that we're not saying the second half and we wind up in December.
Yep.
And also that there should be some projected date of completion, because otherwise it's just open-ended. And I think it would probably be important to have that memorialized in this so they understand what they're getting into.
Okay.
It's on both on page 3.
And I think anyone that would be applying for this would review the visioning that was done and would be
Right.
able to grasp the extent really of what needs to be done too. And any other input on it?
I mean, when we put the timelines on, I think that got us into some, well, we just have to put subject to change and so, you know, in any capacity, whenever, be just simply because we don't know if like a pandemic will happen or, you know, what got us jammed up last time when we got delayed and we ended up having to specify subject to change. So just even with this process, we just need to say.
We could just say projected due date. I mean,
Yeah.
which is kind of a little open-ended without saying subject to change, because I don't want to be subject to change at someone else's whim.
Discretion.
Because of that, yeah, at their, I mean, it could be a pandemic or somebody breaks a leg. I want to be
Yeah.
subject to their, somebody else's issue.
Yeah, I mean, we'll build flexibility into it.
I think some stuff had come up with our timeline before and we took some flack for it. And I want to avoid that. We can.
But the outcome was much better because
The
we're
outcome was
only
awesome.
We are the only municipality that will have a master plan contemplating a pandemic and how to address that. So we're kind of unique.
It worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out.
Okay, so I guess everyone's okay with going ahead with this, with the comments we just had. Any more comments on it? Okay, I guess we'll move along with it. We'll keep everyone posted on it. And, you know, hopefully we can get rolling. Okay. All right.
And it's going out when then?
As quick as possible, because, you know.
Chris back.
I have no idea.
He usually publishes those, but we can, as soon as we get it back, right, Jane?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, our next item will be adoption of minutes, March 16, 2021. And Jane, thanks for doing these so quick. I mean, it's great having all the minutes done. I mean, it's a great service. Thank you.
Thanks.
Weren't we doing like years back of them for a while?
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about some other board. That's not us.
It must have been the board that had shenanigans. I don't
We're
know.
right on top of this.
Somebody just snort laugh.
I already did.
I
correct-
did.
I had Darlene as present and absent, and I did correct that already, so.
Okay. So it's just Melanie that was out?
No, Darlene was absent,
Okay. Oh, okay.
but I had her in both places there. I corrected that.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
It can't
I'll
get
second it then.
She can't get, every time Diane goes to speak tonight, somebody. Right
One of those days.
And that was Lorraine and then Diane second.
Okay.
Call the roll, Jane?
All right. Mayor Newton,
Yes.
Chief Gore,
Yes.
Councilman Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Joel,
Yes.
Ms. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Bartow,
Yes.
Ms. Wexner,
Oh, she's muted.
okay.
Okay, so it's approved. Yeah, I don't think there's any need for an executive session. Anyone have any comments, anything to address? I don't think so. Do we have a motion to end the meeting?
Oh, Diane.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Right.
Good
All
night.
right.
Night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye, Dylan.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Dylan. Bye-bye.